last weekend at Wilberforce. Yes. Who's or plus 4? Oh, yes. But yes, I did meet Henry. Yes. You're going to have to lean in.
Why? Well, I don't.
Just there. It's fine like that.
Okay.
I think it'll be fine. So I hope you guys can hear us. Can y'all hear it? Yes, Misty. Can y'all hear us?
This is a mess.
A love or something.
Is this what we're doing? This is what we're doing?
Misty, can you hear us? I don't think they can hear us. I don't know.
People on Facebook and YouTube are confused. They don't know what you're doing.
Oh, people! I didn't know we were on Facebook yet.
Yeah, you are.
All right, you guys. Hello, welcome to the family meeting. This family meeting is entitled Janky. I don't know. I'm just starting out. I'm sorry, family. All right, welcome. My computer's gonna die. Welcome, everyone. This is a special family meeting tonight. I don't even know, where am I looking? Am I looking here? Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a special family meeting. We are in the studio. Krista's joining us. She never joins us.
Edwin says that I sound louder. Is Monique's mic on?
Should be.
Okay.
Everything's on.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. I'll try and be loud.
Because she wasn't talking into the mic.
Oh.
Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. But yes, we are going to kick this live stream off with a little check-in, first of all, with how you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Oh, me? I thought you were asking the family. I'm okay. I'm hot.
Gosh.
I don't understand the weather.
Warm. Yes.
I had so much fun in Tennessee where it was rainy and cool. And then we came home.
No, I did not like the rain.
I know.
It was a mess. Yes. I think maybe it's because we have on jackets, but
it's hot.
It is. But I grew up like thinking you can show your shoulders and things like that.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
And so, yeah. Anyway, what are we doing tonight?
All right. Do we have an agenda?
Well, a little.
Okay.
We're going to start off with a huge announcement. I'm not sure if you mentioned this on the agenda. Did you?
No, I just said there was a huge announcement.
All right. Well, we have a huge announcement and some reason to give thanks and praise. Do you want to announce it or
no,
shall I?
You go ahead.
All right. Well, officially, Krista has put in her resignation at her place of employment, as she calls it, or her employer. It's like she worked like low-key for the CIA or something. It ain't that deep.
I'm a CIA informant.
But she's put in her resignation and she is going to come on full time with CFBU. Yes! Yes! It is so awesome. Are you crying?
No.
Oh, goodness.
I'm not crying.
All right. And you can have emotion today if you would like to. So are we frozen? We are so excited to have Miss Krista Bontrager come on board. We actually have a slide for her. So
we do.
You can see. Yes.
Did you make that yourself?
I did. I really did. She doesn't let me make the slide. But yeah, so she's coming on board and it's awesome. Her official title will be Vice President of Education and Academic Integrity. What does that mean? We're going to discuss this a little bit, y'all. I might have to show my shoulders because I'm sweating. Let's talk about this a little bit. Look at all the hearts on Insta. That's awesome. What does the VP, well, first of all, before we even get in there, what are you feeling right now? You just won the Super Bowl. You just quit your job. What are you feeling?
Well, I got a few weeks left, but excited, nervous. It's a big step of faith. I just want to say thank you to all the people who have stepped up to help with fundraising and stepping into like supporting me monthly. Mm-hmm. I have a portion of my monthly salary that we've raised and, just kind of stepping out on faith with the hope of more fundraising and just being able to support our family. But also be traveling and speaking. So I'm looking forward to being able to teach more. I don't really teach a whole lot as part of my job, maybe a few times a year, but it's just not part of what I do. So it'll be nice not to feel so divided all the time of like, working and then trying to do ministry. And it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Like the last 12, 13 months was just been a lot. And I think there was a moment where I started realizing like these race issues aren't going to go away.
Yeah.
In the beginning, like the first couple of months, I thought, well, how long could this really last? What could this
Forever.
Yes. But I do think like things have, significantly changed. So it just, it couldn't go on forever the way that it was. It was too much for me.
Yes.
So, because I've been essentially working 2 full-time jobs for 13 months.
There it
And
is.
I'm tired, y'all.
So how long have you been at your place of employment?
22 and a half years.
22 and a half years. Yes. And do you think that what you're going to do here is similar to there?
Oh, no, this will be quite a bit different. Yeah. I mean, this will be more of what I've been already doing for you, but kind of working on building up the educational component of the ministry. So I'll be overseeing course development, book clubs. I oversee all the social media and all the graphics and
Like the educational components.
the
that come out.
educational components to social media. And just, I have some, we just rolled out the Academic Advisory Council. I've been overseeing that. So continuing to look for new talent for that and onboarding those people and then utilizing those people as resources for the ministry, which that's already paid off huge dividends for us.
Yes.
So I have other big dreams of things that I want to do for the ministry, and we kind of have a 3-year plan of we'll see what the Lord has, and we're always putting the Lord first in all our decisions, but we have some dreams, and we're hoping that they're the Lord's dreams too. So
Now, tell us about the race and ethnicity class that we're currently in the middle of that you created.
So I'm a big advocate of education. I think that the way to lasting and meaningful change is through education. Social media is a great platform. It's a way of getting a conversation started, but I really much prefer, and I've seen this have fruit in my job, because that's what I did for many, many years for my employer, was developing online courses, and that's been very successful. And I see the value and the lasting fruit of that, of how leading people into an educational experience gives them time and space to process new ideas and giving them safety in being able to think about things and read and interact with ideas. And that's really how we can create ambassadors for the ministry that can make a difference where they are. And I think that my hope is over the next 3 years, that we'll have hundreds of people going through our courses, and, that we're really equipping and training people in race, justice, and unity. And so this first course that we rolled out is a theology of race and ethnicity course. We have 35 people in the class, and it's been great. Leading them through conversations on what does the Bible have to say about race? How does it practically apply to ministry situations? Last week, we had our friend Dr. Joe Miller come to the class, talk about scientific racism and how we see that playing out in our culture still today. So looking forward to building a class on a theology of justice, an advanced class on talking about critical race theory. I can imagine a class maybe on Black liberation theology. I think
I have all the books for you.
Yeah, I think we want to really equip and train people to understand these issues and not just read a meme on Facebook and think that, they're ready for a super complicated discussion. So I'm hoping that it'll become a training center for as a supplement to seminary for a lot of pastors, community leaders, people who really want to make a difference in their community, but getting them biblically informed first. So,
do you think that, and this is just a random question, do you think that seminary may prepare pastors for orthodoxy, like the doctrine, the scripture, but not orthopraxy, like how to walk it out? Do you see your vision for education grounding people, yes, in scripture, but also giving them the educational tools to be able to walk it out?
I think that seminaries are trying to figure out the current cultural climate. Like when I was in seminary, there was no class on justice or race issues, or even I would love to see an apologetics class in more and more seminaries, teaching about challenges in different ethnic communities, different apologetics challenges. Like there's very specific apologetics challenges in the Black church, and there's very specific apologetics challenges in people from a Latin American context, and there's specific challenges for those in the Asian context. And I would love to see more seminary classes that have electives, to help equip and train pastors who are going to be in those communities on how to address those apologetic challenges. Mm-hmm. These are all of sort of my hopes and dreams for what can be developed. But right now, I think seminaries are just starting to wake up to these needs, and I want us to be at the forefront. I want us to be.
That's my vision too, girl.
Leading the conversation.
Lead the conversation.
Like we're already there. And so, yeah.
Now, I am going to offer another thought before someone writes in and says, well, she didn't say that there were any apologetic challenges in white evangelicalism. Oh. There are. She's not saying that. Don't come from a girl. Don't come from a girl. You celebrate, but don't come today.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I can already see somebody writing in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you saying memes? What's up, Kevin? Are you saying memes are not a sufficient means of education?
That's kind of what I'm saying, Kevin.
But that's where I learned all my CRT. That's wrong. Let me stop. Yes. Now
somebody asked on YouTube if I'm sad to leave my job. Absolutely. I have been there a long time, Alicia, and yeah, I'm very sad. I'm sad to be thinking about all of the things I won't be a part of anymore. I've worked really hard to build their programs and help to create a lot of legacy pieces for the ministry for longevity so that ministry will last into the next generation. It's hard for me to think about leaving that and all that I've sown into over the years, but I'm also excited for whatever the Lord will do. And I want to try to develop a teaching ministry while I'm still young enough to do it. You know, I could easily see myself staying at my employer for another 10 years. And then I think that striking out on my own will be a lot harder. So as hard as this is, you know, it's a good time to transition. Kids have graduated and...
You're basically an empty nester.
Kinda.
Yeah.
So...
Someone said, thank you for streaming on multiple programs. I think
platforms. Probably.
Gosh, I had another question for you. Well, before I go into the question, I don't know how many people just know how much you do with CFBU, for CFBU. And my heart of being able to have you come on is so excited to now we're going to see each other all the time. All day. Yes.
It'll be interesting.
You got that right. Do you love me? Because I might be knocking on your door.
That's right.
But we are a multi-office home. So my bedroom is my office and your bedroom will be yours. Yours is bigger than mine. So maybe you can have like the conference area too.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you very much for coming on board, for taking the risk and the step of faith. We have to also say huge thanks to Bob Bontrager for, being in this risk. You couldn't do this without him and, his support and
For sure. I mean,
approval and, all of these things.
and we should probably say, like, Bob and I have been praying about this for a long time, like almost daily, like whenever we get together for our prayer times together, like this is the number one thing that we pray about. And we've taken a lot of steps, and Bob is like great at managing our family finances, and we have very little debt, and really just our mortgage, and our mortgage is really small.
Yeah.
We actually have enough money in the bank probably to pay for a lot of what our needs are for a while. So we've planned for this, but at the same time, we know that this is a big risk, and we've tried to establish a transition, but we'll see what the Lord has. And so
we will see what the Lord has.
I
want to say thank you to all of you, everyone who has stepped up to, you can't see me on Instagram.
There we go.
Everyone who has stepped up to support CFBU, Krista, me, thank you so much. Your resources, your financial support is making this ministry available and widespread. Krista was just received an invitation, I think in Arizona, to go
it's still
speak.
being
You're trying to work
negotiated,
that out.
yeah.
But, individually, we will speak. She is definitely gifted in ways that I am not, and knowledgeable in areas that I am not, and vice versa. And so we do things separately, but together our ministry is the Center for Biblical Unity. And that is what, what we're going to run with. That's what we are going to spearhead. The educational resources that will come from that are going to completely just empower people to be able to have biblical conversations on race, justice, and unity. And we want to be the ones to lead that conversation. Not saying that there's no room for anybody else in the game. No, come on over. If you go to our website at centerforbiblicalunity.com, you'll see all of the resources and the platform sharing. This isn't about hogging it, but we do want to make sure that as we move forward, we are able to lead people in ways that are biblical and insightful and practical. If you have all this biblical wisdom, but you don't, know how to exercise it practically, there's a disconnect. So how do we do these things practically? But check out our resources. Edwin Ramirez is there. Virgil Walker is there. Lisa Childers is there. Rashio Christie. Like we are making sure that we are also platforming others. If you are not connected with like Eric Muldrow, go get connected with Eric. Get connected with Edwin. These are people who are doing great work in the kingdom. Edwin's heart is so compassionate. Goodness gracious, I wish I could have his heart some days, because I ain't got no kind of compassion some days. It's a mess. But, these are people who have different voices than ours. Yeah. It sounds different, but it's still biblical and still keeping you on the straight path.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Yeah, big steps.
What are you thinking? Because you look like you're on the brink of like excitement and like a full-on cry fest.
No, I think I'm a little bit in shock. Because I've done one thing for 22 years. I was very young when I started working there. I was in my 20s. I had taught for a few years as a university professor, but I would love to. It's just I've been at one place for a really long time, and so I'm like, wow, it's just like surreal to me, of doing something different. So I'm excited.
All right, Kimberly asked an important question. Last one at the bottom there.
Are denim jackets the official uniform of the center? Kimberly, why are you coming for us so strong? No, it is not the official uniform. I love a denim jacket. It's comfortable. I have probably 5. Yeah, it's bad. 5 or 6 denim jackets. And so I just throw one on. I would not have normally thrown on a jacket at all. But I have on a tank top and it's like spaghetti strap. And so then I wasn't trying to come on and offend anybody. If you one of them people who was like, ooh, she's showing shoulders. Lord, she a step away from purgatory, or I don't know, something. Like I didn't want to offend anyone. So
So what else is happening? We got
So, what else is happening? Sorry, I was reading Alyssa's message. She said, I missed what's happening. She was late. Krista quit her job. That's what's happening. And she's coming on full time with the Center for Biblical Unity. And we are excited. We wanted to share it with the family first. And Kristen says, you have compassion, Monique. You just have a different way of expressing it. That is true.
It's different.
It is different. It's different. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, but I don't have the video for it, is Brandon Tatum.
We're really going to name him. Did you really just do that?
He's a public figure. I didn't know that I was hiding it. And I'm not coming for him or nothing like that. It's more of a conversation among the family.
No.
But there was a conversation around Juneteenth. Not Juneteenth, around Black Wall Street, the burning of Black Wall Street. Thank you. Juneteenth is coming. We will talk about Juneteenth. But the burning of Black Wall Street and what exactly happened. Was it a massacre? Was it a race riot? And all of these things. And originally we were going to talk about some of the issues around the burning of Black Wall Street. So the burning of Black Wall Street.
Well, yeah, let's first start with what was it? Because I think it's going to be new for some people. It was new
This is why you're here.
It was new for me a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. I remember when we first started talking, you would be talking about this. I'm thinking, I've never heard this. I think it's an important moment in our history. It's an important moment for many people in the Black culture and African American culture. So maybe just give us a little snapshot of what it is that we're talking about, because it's definitely gotten a lot more media attention this year.
Yeah. So burning of Black Wall Street happened in 1921. What happened was in Oklahoma, there was a specific area where, divided by a railroad track, there was the white side and the black side. And the black side was booming. They had banks and the movie theaters and shops, and it was doing well, and it was actually doing very well, so well that they called it the Black Wall Street.
Now we need to probably clarify, this is in the South.
This is in the South in 1921.
During segregation. So there were a lot of obstacles, but I think what's really beautiful about the Black culture at that time is that it was really going through a renaissance in many respects. Education was on the rise. Businesses were on the rise. Wealth was being created. And, there was a lot of really good and positive things happening in the Black culture. So in spite of all of the obstacles, there was really an attitude and a posture of overcoming difficulty, and we will thrive anyways.
Yes. So this is, through the time of the Great Migration, where Blacks are leaving the South because of the end of slavery and moving north and things like that. So there's a settlement, so to speak, in Oklahoma, not Oklahoma City, but in Oklahoma, and they were doing well. And they stayed to themselves. And I think the attitude at that time was work hard, do you, and do your community, and, make something of yourself. What was said to have happened was that, and there's a couple of different possibilities or theories of what was said to have happened. But one of the scenarios is that a Black kid got into an elevator with a white woman and raped her. There's another, and she was screaming and she came out with tattered clothes and, all these things. And I don't know I have questions about that. But then there was the story of that he stepped on her toe and she screamed and then, claimed that he raped her. There's another story that floats around that she just accused him of either kissing her or looking at her the wrong way. And, so now there's these different accusations going around about what this Black kid did. And he was a teenager. So she makes this accusation and he's arrested. Now he gets arrested, and the word on the street or the threat is that they're going to lynch him, which is not outside of the realm of possibilities in 1921. Okay, so I'm not saying that everybody was going around lynching everybody, but thinking about, an area that is more prone to racism, to KKK. I mean, we were just last year, we did to give some comparison to this area, we did a conference in Atlanta, but it was regional for the southeastern region, and people from Oklahoma came and said that they still fly the KKK flag in Oklahoma today.
Yeah, there was a person who said that one of their ministry partners had to drive by a giant KKK billboard every day on their way to their ministry post.
Yes.
And it's like, wait, what?
Every day. Every day.
Yeah.
So,
and it was, the person was black. Mm-hmm. The minister who had to drive by this billboard was black, and they had to look at this thing every single day. When we were in Tennessee last week, was it Elisa who said like there's a giant statue for the founder of KKK on your way to Nashville or something?
I don't know that I'm that holy. Like I might have to quit I don't know. I'd be like, Lord, you're gonna have to work with me. But he gets arrested. There's talk of like lynching or killing him. And a group of black men, now some of them are armed, form at the police station. The same time, a group of white men form at the police station. A shot is fired, and that begins the Tulsa race riot, the Tulsa massacre. However,
and what ends up happening is the white people...
The white people riot.
Right.
So race riots, and you can Google it, you can look through history. Race riots at one time were predominantly white. It wasn't like the BLM, like, oh, it's only the black and brown people who riot. There were a lot of predominantly white race riots. But that was early on. I feel like people don't remember history, so nobody wants to talk about that part. This happened, and it ended up burning down Black Wall Street. There were other race riots. I feel like around the same time, even.
And when we say burn it down, like
there was nothing left.
Yes. People's homes, businesses, churches,
innocent children, innocent women, like everybody, innocent people were killed. Now, B. Tatum puts out on his thing that it was only like 30 people who died. I would be. I don't believe that. I think what I have read says, hundreds of people died. What I was taught said hundreds of people died. I will say that I could be corrected, but what really got me was his talk about, they like white people were doing the same thing that BLM was doing, and so black people have no room to like talk or to speak about it. And you saw the clip, so you can chime in too.
Yeah.
But he was condemning black, and y'all should go watch this clip if you haven't. He was condemning all the black people for all of their conversation around BLM, around riots, and all of these things, but almost giving an excuse to the white race riots, and was saying, well, they had a woman who was raped, and so that gave them license to kill, these people, and white people and black people died. One of the things that I wanted to address regarding his video was the fact that when we look at injustice, we look at injustice impartially. So I am not going to, and this is a place where I would love to have a conversation with him, because I think that he did not hold like an attitude of being impartial when talking about this. It was this, white people had a right to riot, but black people never should. Rioting is wrong. It's in scripture. Like, we don't burn down people's livelihood. We don't run with the mob. We don't take people's opportunities for work away. When we have conversations about race, we do so without partiality. If I'm going to talk about one group, I'm going to make sure that same attitude is applied to all groups. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to let one group off just because of the color of their skin or because I might like them a little bit better. He went on to say,
we're talking about when we talk about we're talking about this
Tatum.
this
Yeah.
Brandon Tatum video. I put a link to it in the chat.
He went on to call black people like dirty dogs and say that
And we recognize he's not a Trinitarian. We know that.
okay, yeah. I don't know much about him. I don't follow him a lot. Like
We're just simply talking about this one video.
Yeah, this one video, because we have to remember how we conduct ourselves before other people. And so when he said, I'm so fed up with black culture has a bunch of dirty dogs. He went to talk about LeBron James and Jay-Z and, all of these people. And he left out that all cultures have something wrong with them. I can look in white culture and see something wrong with it. I can look in Native American culture and see something wrong with it. I can look in Asian American culture.
Well, that's because of sin.
It's exactly. It's not because of the color of my skin. It's because we are sinful people.
So I think the thing with race riots, like if we're going to take this from the perspective of, what can we learn from this? We don't want to fall into the error of condemning all, only talking about one side of the equation. I think that's one of your points is if we're going to talk about riots, let's have the whole conversation and recognize, look, we have an ugly history in our country with white rioting. We're currently in a struggle with BLM riots. That seems to be a mixture of races. But for us as Christians, the problem in both of these situations is God places a high value on life, property, and work. And so when people's livelihood gets destroyed, I mean, you lived through the Rodney King riots. Mm-hmm. There's places you've told me you could still take me in LA that are still destroyed 30 years later after the Rodney King riots. It destroys communities, it destroys livelihoods, and it just destroys property. These are things that God's standard of justice takes seriously. So when we're going to think about this from a Christian perspective, let's not just get into a knee-jerk posture of condemnation. Let's be circumspect and look into Scripture of, well, what is our standard? What are we talking about? Yeah. So when we talk about life, property, and livelihood, these are some of the things that God puts a value on, and that is the problem of any kind of a riot. So let's have that conversation. Then we can also have a conversation about, whether or not there was false reporting. The Bible has some things to say about false reporting, false witnesses. These are all things that Scripture speaks to. Mm-hmm. And so if we're going to have a distinctly Christian conversation about these issues, we need to keep some of those things in mind.
Yeah. And I think to me, it was also important to highlight the fact that what I loved about his video actually was that he did say, white people did it and now black people are doing it. And to me, that just highlights the fact that it's a sin condition, that you're not limited just to one ethnic group to see sin.
Yeah.
Or to see like bad behavior and things like that.
So I want to go to Candy's comment here on YouTube. She says, to be fair, Tatum's focus is on the black community. He's one of the founders of Black Debt. He's kind of all about improving the black community. He could just be focusing on issues within his community. I'm sure that's probably what he would argue. I mean, I think that's definitely his POV. I think you take a little bit different position about it. You feel like maybe he's a little overly negative about the black community sometimes.
I feel like I'm negative. Like, I feel like I can take a strong position regarding the black community and like looking at places where we need to be speaking into our own community as black people, and looking at certain issues that are specific to like the black church or black women and things like that. But I think that it's slanderous to say, the black community is filled with dirty, nasty dogs. Like that's slanderous. And then to say, and he said at the end, I think he was like, there are some good ones out there who are trying to work hard, but the politicians or this, I'm like, we have to be careful as to how we speak, because we want people who may not agree with us, and I learned this from you, people who may not agree with us to take time to listen.
If we're going to try to win them over. Yeah. I want to highlight, while we're on the subject of the Tulsa thing, I sent this to Bob. I don't know if he got it or not. Yeah. These were some summary, and I'm making an assumption. I have not vetted this. I'm going to make an assumption here that these quotes are correct. But these were the responses of white clergymen in the aftermath of the Tulsa massacre. And you and I were reading these tweets the other night, and it was like, this is sad. This is so sad that, this pastor at the Presbyterian Church, the colored people must understand they started it. The fact of their aiming and coming up through the city was an outrage to the citizenship of Tulsa. So it sounds like there's sort of a resentment there of having black people even in their city. Here's the Methodist minister, a Methodist minister, taking the position, there's a great deal of loose-mouthed, loose-minded talk about white people of Tulsa being equally to blame with blacks. Any person that makes that assertion makes an assertion that's false. It should be a lesson learned once for all that the colored man is a colored man, a white man is a white man. There can never be anything like social equality between the two races. Those are rough.
Those are rough.
And so we'll just let Bob scroll slowly through these. And
I wish you could see it on Instagram. You guys are going to have to watch it on YouTube or come back and get the replay. On YouTube or Facebook. But this is the mindset. And unfortunately, what I don't think people understand today is that because you don't know your history, there's a lot of talk happening in certain circles about white people that sounds very similar to this.
Yeah.
This is an issue again of sin.
Now, there were some white ministers who reached out to African-American churches and tried to host them. It says, according to the World newspaper, simple gospel sermons were preached, but no mention of the prior week's events, which is, difficult. And so we have to understand that, like, when people in the Black community feel like their history isn't spoken, it's not included in history books, like there's parts of it that they feel like their voices are silenced, that some of that this is a great example of that we might not even be aware of. It might be our own blind spot of not even just knowing this. And I think that's why this conversation, one of the reasons why I think this conversation matters. I think it also matters that we understand when people accuse the church of complicity in racism, is a very tangible example of what they mean. That's not just a throwaway comment. There's a sense in which they want everyone to kind of be in the reality of our rough history.
Yes.
And so just giving some perspective of where some of those sentiments come from.
Yes. And I would say, even to take it a step further, like, I think that we should know America's history. America's history is really rough, people. It is not like all peachy keen. And I think many people fall prey to CRT when they realize what the history of America is and how bad it is. And then it's like, well, what do I do? What can I do to help rectify the history that we have? I think it's really important for pastors to speak into that, and leaders of churches or ministries to be able to speak into what is our biblical response to an ugly history. What is our biblical response to injustice today? How do we live from a place that is biblical and not just our emotions? Because in our emotions, I either want to fix it, I'm going to get angry, there's a lot of, or sadness, there's a lot of emotions that are evoked in learning our history. But how do we handle it biblically? Because the biblical approach is the only approach that's really going to move us forward.
Yeah. So that's kind of some thoughts that we've been wanting to share about the Tulsa situation. It just was We know it's been in the news, and people are processing, they're learning. So we just kind of wanted to be able to share some thoughts about that. Anything else before we move on?
No, I guess it's okay.
Okay. All right. What else is happening?
Book groups.
Okay.
You have to tell us about book groups because that's your domain. Ah!
All right. So we got our summer book clubs coming up. They're going to be starting in a few weeks, but you can still get in on it. Now, our friend Edwin Ramirez, his group is almost full. I think there's like 2 seats left when I last checked. So his book group is the Why Social Justice is Not Biblical Justice. So you can see there on the left. So if you want to get into the discussion on our friend Scott Allen's book, you better jump on it. And Edwin Ramirez is going to be our discussion leader for that. Now, the Jason Riley book is Monique's pick this time. Please stop helping us. You keep talking about it on the show. So we're going to walk people through it.
I love this book. My goodness. I wish that I could lead it. Time will not permit. I'm excited that Jamal is going to lead it. I might pop in, though. I can't lie. I might. He just really looks at a lot of statistics, a lot of data, and says, wait a minute, is the way that, a lot of liberal Americans, the stance that is being taken, like with welfare or, any of the other social programs or social advocacies, are those the way to truly help Black, brown, poor people? And he's like, no, it's not. It's so good. It's such a good book.
So we're going to be doing that one, and that's still got a few seats left in it too, but it's filling up quick. And then finally, our friend Melissa Palou is going to be, she did the Color of Compromise in our spring book clubs. So we're going to follow that up with Jamar Tisby's second book on how to fight racism. Jamar Tisby, we take kind of some differences with him. We have a little different angle on the conversation about racism, but he's an important voice. He's an important voice in the conversation. His books are being widely recommended by pastors and churches. And so if you want to take the time to read through the book and process it with somebody who can kind of help you develop some, just have a safe space to talk about it and work on discernment and comparing it to scripture, Melissa Palou is amazing at that. She did a wonderful job in the Color of Compromise group. And so we've asked her to do Tisby's follow-up book. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to process the book. I would really encourage pastors to think about going through the group because Tisby is getting such a strong push in so many evangelical spaces. He just
signed a huge contract with Kendi. Ibram Kendi, who wrote How to Be an Anti-Racist. So now they're working together, even though Jamar says he don't support CRT.
No, he doesn't. He says he does.
I thought he said he didn't.
No, you're thinking of Eric Mason.
Oh, never mind. Wrong person. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I retract that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that understanding where, Tisby is, because like you said, he's such a big voice in this conversation, is hugely important. We can't just read the people that we agree with.
Right.
We can't be in an echo chamber and then, not be able to address truly what's happening in other places within the church and within our culture.
Yeah, and I see Jonathan's putting a thumbs down on Tisby's book, and I get the sentiment. Like, again, we take a different position, but I think that one of the greatest mistakes that I see many Christians doing is having a knee-jerk reaction in the conversation about race and not interacting in a thoughtful way with primary sources. If you're interacting with our content, it's secondary sources. That we are a secondary source. We are reacting and responding. We're trying to give biblical ideas and foundations, but reading Vodie's book is a secondary source. And they're important voices and they can be good on-ramps to the conversation. But if you are a pastor, if you are a leader, if you are a Christian school principal, if you are working in Christian higher ed, at some point you have to interact with the primary sources and the bigger voices. And And because you're going to have to help people under you that you're shepherding and guiding in how to have, where those ideas depart from the Christian worldview.
Yes.
So the biggest mistake I'm seeing right now is that some people who follow us, they're having like this knee-jerk reaction. It's like that's not going to help. We've got to be thoughtful in how we engage people that take a different position.
Yeah. And Jonathan, we're not saying you had a knee-jerk reaction. We're just giving a overall comment.
Yeah.
But yes, so those 3, and then we'll have one more round of book groups in the fall. Yes. And my Auntie Linda is asking if we can do the social justice book again in the fall. We are not sure yet. We
will see.
Yes.
No promises.
All right. Lastly, what was our last thing? Goodness gracious. Our racism video.
Oh, yes.
So if
we dropped a new video this week.
We dropped a new quick takes video. It is on Facebook. You can find it there. I think it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram and on YouTube.
And it's just a little bit more than 90 seconds, maybe close to 2 minutes or so. But it's all about racism. And so check it out and share it.
No, it's about racial reconciliation.
Okay, never mind. You know what? People, it's a lot. It's about racial reconciliation. Thank you. And then there was one other thing. I don't know. I guess that might be it. You have anything else?
Oh, you know me.
Oh, goodness.
I always got opinions.
What is your latest opinion?
I don't know. I'm just looking through our agenda here.
Yes, we had a meeting today about our small group curriculum.
Oh, yeah, the small group curriculum update.
It's still on track. I'm so excited. Our not editor,
our designer.
Yeah, our designer is really working hard to make sure that everything's ready for our deadline.
It looks so good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So excited. And then, oh, yes. Now, are you anything else? We're going to sign off. All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So I wanted to, before we close, I want to make.
Oh, wait, we're coming to Atlanta.
See, here we go. Lord Jesus, help me. Please, I need you to take the wheel.
We're coming to Atlanta. So I posted some dates on Facebook, and Letitia will probably put them on Instagram. So if anyone is like in the Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina area, and you want us to come to an event like for your church, your school, your ministry in kind of mid-July-ish, reach out.
July and August are kind of weird months.
I know, but I'm just putting it out there because we're coming all the way across the country to do a one-day event. So if we could like couple 1 or 2 more events in there, it'll really make that trip.
You know what we should do? We should do some family meetings, like like an Atlanta family meeting. Then we could just drive over. What's next to Atlanta? What's the other state? Georgia?
North Carolina.
No, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, South Carolina would have to be first.
Yeah.
Right? We could just drive over, and I like to drive. I am one for a good road trip.
Yes.
This one, not so much. But yes, we could do like some pop-up family meetings somewhere.
Yeah. But if you know of any opportunities, get in contact with us because we're trying to put together a little bit more of an agenda since we have to get on a plane and fly all the way across the country. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Okay, now I'm done.
All right. So lastly, if you would like to partner with the Center for Biblical Unity, either through volunteering, monthly support, a one-time gift, I said volunteering your talent, please reach out to us. You can email, if you need to email, like to get more information, you can email info@centerforbiblicalunity.com, or you can go directly to our website and fill out the volunteer form or make a monthly donation, or you can either make a one-time donation or a monthly donation. it goes so far and helps to support Krista and I as we work full time now for CFBU. It goes to help with supplies and just making sure that we're able to do things well. And that's our goal. It's always to represent the family and to represent the kingdom well. And so that is how we are going to end tonight. Again, centerforbiblicalunity.com, and you can donate there. You can sign up to become a monthly partner there. If you become a monthly partner, you actually get to have coffee with us once a month virtually. So we have people who chime in from all over America. We haven't had anyone international yet, but all over America for our monthly coffee meeting where you find out things that are happening on the back end of the ministry, things that we don't talk about publicly. We have a time of prayer, a time where we get to offload and say, hey, what do you think about this? And it's a time where you can connect with other family members. So if you are already a monthly supporter, please make sure that you're joining us. And if you're not yet a monthly supporter, please talk with your family. Consider supporting us monthly, get in a conversation with the Lord about it, and see how he would have you help to support the Center for Biblical Unity. All right. I think that is a wrap for this week.
Woo!
Oh, was that your level of excitement?
Woohoo! Oh. That's me being excited. Oh, somebody's asking about Juneteenth.
Juneteenth is June 19th. And
we're going to have a special show.
Yes, we're going to have Dr. Harold Felder. Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Tell us the name of the book he wrote.
It's called African American Guide to the Bible. It is such a useful book. He really goes through some of the key, like I was talking earlier about, there are very specific problems or questions that Christians in the African American community face, questions about slavery, questions about pain and suffering, and questions about racism. And, there's just certain issues of concern for that community. And this book basically goes through and addresses it. There's a wonderful chapter in there about Africans in the Bible. It's such a helpful book and really equipping you to address some of these questions that you would encounter in a conversation with probably a younger African American person who's struggling with their faith or is deconstructed away from their faith. If you're wanting to help them think through some of those important questions. So we had a great Zoom call with Dr. Felder. I'm super excited about introducing him to the family, and we're bringing him on for Juneteenth and talking about the question of answering about slavery. Does the Bible teach slavery or something like that? So
that is it.
It's the name of the book is called, I think it's called The African American Guide to the Bible. And the author's name is Dr. Harold Felder. He has his doctorate from Southern Evangelical Seminary, and our friends Devin and Melissa Palou got us connected with him. He was really helpful in Melissa's journey. And so
we love the Palous.
We love the Palous.
They are awesome, awesome people.
So,
all right. That is it for us. That's a wrap. You guys, thank you so much. Thank you just for being family and for praying for us. Please continue to pray for us. Specifically, please pray for wisdom. That is something that we are constantly in need of, is prayers for wisdom. And then pray that, for provision, that God continues to provide and he continues to send people to partner with us in ministry, and pray for opportunities where we can go out and continue to spread the good news of truth and the good news of our reconciliation.
So Leanne put a book in the comments. I'm going to hide it because that's not the right book. Same title, wrong book.
Wow.
So let me see if I can find it. I'll find it when we sign off here, but I'll put it in the in the chat on Facebook for you.
All right, sounds good. Bye.